This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform. This station is Gatwick Airport.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast, and welcome to Pristina in Kosovo. Now there's a phrase I never thought I'd utter maybe a year or so ago, but that's what affords you following England around the world, going to some places that are perhaps just off the beaten track a little bit. Of course, England are here for their last Euro 2020 qualifier. It is the final one because on Thursday the 14th at Wembley we qualified in impressive style with a 7-0 win over Montenegro in what was our 1000th game. We'll speak to Matt Astbury, England blogger, about that game soon. That's coming up. Now on the same evening in Prague, Czech Republic, they beat Kosovo 2-1 to secure their place as well. So on paper, the game's result won't have any bearing on the final standings. However, Kosovo are still in with a shout through their Nations League performance, so they're going to look to put on a good show for all the supporters that are going to turn up. Also coming up on the podcast, we're going to look back over the other games that the various England sides have played over this international break. The last international break of this calendar year, the Lionesses have been in action, as have the under-21s, the under-20s and various young Lions age groups. So we'll cover those results further into the podcast. Now I've collected my ticket. It's cost me €5. I can't remember the last time I paid that little to watch any standard of football, let alone watching England. Now I set off from Tirana in Albania this morning with the guys from On The Ball Travel and their coaches, so a shout out to them. It's now just gone 2 o'clock. I'm currently sat next to the 9th ugliest building in the world, 2009 apparently. This is what I'm reading from the Free Lions magazine. Now this building is one we spoke about with Arben Berisha in the last podcast, and it's actually the National Library of Kosovo. And I guess it's one of those buildings that you either like or you don't like, a bit like Marmite. It's loads of sort of concrete blocks all piled on top of each other with apparently 99 white domes on top of them, said to represent the hats of traditional Albanian and national costume. It's alright actually, I don't mind it. It's got this weird metal mesh grid across all of the windows and up the side of it. It's very strange, very hard to describe. Your best bet is Google, as with a lot of things. And the stadium for tonight's game is behind me. It's probably about a 5-minute walk behind me. Everywhere it seems in Pristina appears to be about 5-10 minute walk from the centre. So it's a nice little compact city. Now the welcome the Kosovans have given us has been amazing. The extended hand of friendship, it's just been superb. All the way up Mother Teresa Boulevard, which is one of the main pedestrian streets in the city. There are flags, both St George's Cross and the Kosovan flag as well, hanging from the trees. Loads of street sellers, all selling the half and half scarves. Never really been a half and half scarf person, but I kind of feel obliged to buy one of these. Whether I will remains to be seen. But the whole hand of extended friendship, of course, goes back to the war when Kosovo went about getting their independence, which was fought around around 98, 99 time. It was, of course, between Yugoslavia and the Kosovo Liberation Army. Kosovo was basically handed to the United Nations, who then decided their final status. Basically, they were the ones who decided what would happen to Kosovo. And one of the main reason why England and Great Britain as well are seen as great friends was because Great Britain, were one of the first countries to recognise their independence straight away, and it was literally a day after Kosovo declared their independence. It's also worth mentioning on the journey on the convoy of coaches, people who we passed in the more built-up of areas, standing on the pavement, were actually waving all the England coaches going by, children smiling and giving the thumbs up. You just think that with the stigma that some still attach to England fans, it'll be interesting to see if this sort of news stretches to some sections of our media, if you get my drift. And it has to be said that America as well, the United States, are well thought of as well, to the point where Bill Clinton has his own statue here in Pristina, and that is where we're off to now. One of these stranger things I've found in Pristina is a life-size, well, a little bit bigger than life-size, a bronze statue of Bill Clinton up against a big banner. Bill Clinton, 42nd President of the United States, along Bill Clinton Boulevard. He's standing there with his arm in the air. He's got some sort of book in his hand. There's actually just up the, about 100 yards up the road, there's a picture of his wife, just to even it up. Stars and Stripes flag flies to just one side. No sign of Monica Lewinsky though. Now, before we head to the ground, I spoke with Matt Astbury following the Montenegro game. This is our conversation. Now, I'd like to welcome to the Three Lions podcast, welcome to England blogger Matt Astbury. Hello there.
Hi, Russell.
How are you?
All right, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. We're talking the day after the Montenegro game at Wembley. You were there, as was I. What did you make of it?
Easy night for Gareth and the team, wasn't it? 7 goals. I mean, the first half, I couldn't get over how good England were. Obviously, you got to take into account the fact that Montenegro aren't the greatest team in the world. But one thing that always struck me was that a few years ago, when we'd play Montenegro on a very frequent basis in qualifying for World Cups and European Championships, we often struggled against them. They were they're a bit like Northern Ireland now, where they were like very dogged defensively, and they always had a shock in them. I can remember England going to Montenegro a few years ago, only coming away with the draw. And when we came away with the draw, it was more the fact that that was a good result. And I think going into the first game of this, when we played Montenegro away a few months back now, I think the fact there was a lot made of Montenegro atmosphere. Obviously, there was the racist chanting, which does cast a dark shadow over that game. But then England, you can tell this England team are something different now, because they made that trip to Montenegro look so easy, and they made the game last night. I was speaking to my parents actually on the phone a few hours ago, and they basically said it was like England were playing a non-league side. It was like Montenegro didn't want to be there. But it was great to see Harry Kane get the hat-trick. Now he's moved up to the 6th all-time leading goal scorer for England. And then to see Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain as well get back on the score sheet. Since his injury, I think, he's come back really strong. And that first goal, the touch he took to control the ball, then second touch, fires it into the bottom corner. It was just a great performance overall. And great to see Tammy Abraham get his first goal as well, because obviously how he's been playing for Chelsea, he's got a lot of England fans excited when he started being included in the squad. So, no, it was a great night, and I'm really excited now for next year for the championships.
Yeah, that's right. We are now qualified to Euro 2020. We will be there. Definitely 3 home games in the group stages, and keeping our fingers crossed for those games in the semi-final and the final. There was a couple of other things that from last night. Obviously, we had the Sterling Gomez incident in the lead up to it, which was a little bit distracting. But Gomez came on and got a little bit of a boo, which I thought was a little bit out of order from some England fans, and I struggled to really see how or why that came about.
Well, as you said, you used the perfect word to describe that incident. It became a distraction, didn't it? When it came out on Monday, what happened, for what should have been a celebration of England's international footballing history, even though some of it isn't great, even though some of it is really bad. I mean, there was a good documentary ITV did, which was broadcasting on Tuesday night, which was really good, looking back at some of the not so great memories as an England fan. But no, it was just a bit of a distraction. And the problem was, I was walking around Wembley before the game, and when I went to the Green Man for a few drinks before the game, the sad thing was it was all that was being talked about, which was really annoying because I just wanted to think, oh, it's 1,000 games, it's a very historical occasion. But then when it came on for the booze, I thought that was uncalled for, because I think as an England fan, when you mention to people you go in to watch, let's say you're going to watch England away, for example, when I mention that to people, automatically some people get in their head that, oh, England fans going away, that he's just going there to drink a load and, cause trouble. And that is totally not the case. And I think the problem is, England fans, we're all so slowly just trying to be on good terms with the team. And after that World Cup last year, I thought that bond had been really strengthened and the fans and the team were closer than before. But now, after what's happened on last night when Gomez got booed, I thought it was totally uncalled for. And the sad thing was that his family was also at the game. I mean, for those who are booing, they might be listening, I don't know. But just think, let's say if you put yourself in Joe Gomez's position, you were being booed coming on, your family were there. Just think about what the family were feeling. Like, they were probably thinking, why has a minority turned on my son, for example? It wasn't on it, and it just didn't make any sense. But, I think the issue's been dealt with the right way. I think it's lucky that it was Montenegro that we were playing. I think it was a bigger team. I don't think Sterling would have been dropped. I think he would have been kept in the side, but I think it was lucky that it was Montenegro. And, by what we've been told, obviously, there's different media accounts of what happened, but Sterling obviously was in the wrong by flipping out at Gomez when he arrived at St George's Park. So they're booing Gomez for something that he didn't instigate, which is a bit weird. But yeah, again, it's sad again because it's full of distraction in the aftermath of this game when it was such a good, flawless attacking performance. So we should be really excited for what the future holds. But instead, it's all about England fans booing their own.
Yeah, no, let's hope it was just a one-off. And I'm really hoping that the Kosovo game, that if Gomez does get the opportunity to come on the pitch, then he's going to get the reception that he deserves.
Yeah.
But 7-0 against Montenegro, as you say, it was a real attacking force. It was good performance all over. Sterling didn't play, but Gareth has said he will feature in the game against Kosovo. But those players that did play against Montenegro, they're going to think, well, we put in a 7-0 performance here. Some of those are going to be frustrated to get dropped, aren't they?
Yes, but it was a valid point that was brought upon the Guardian Football Weekly podcast I listened to on my way back up to Leeds, was that the thing is Sterling as a brand is so big, and we're just lucky to have him as an England player. He has more Instagram followers than the England football account, which just shows how big a personality he is. And also, I think for what he stands for as well, for what he's been trying to do for black players in this country, try and get them on a level playing field when it comes to media reports and that. I think as well, because you can tell Sterling's passionate. I think another thing you got to take into account is that he's very passionate about Manchester City. I mean, often he gets jeered for being, a sellout, always going for the higher price, but, he has passion. And I know definitely when Gareth told him that you will not be playing on Thursday, I definitely think he would have just sat there being like, what have I done? Because he loves playing for England. But again, I think even though some of those players that played against Montenegro will be dropped, I think the main positive thing is that we've got a good squad depth for the championships, because you will not go through a tournament like the Euros or the World Cup without getting injuries of some sort. So even though some of those players who played last night will be disappointed that they've been dropped, there will more likely be a chance coming up, because obviously we'll have warm-ups in March and just before the tournament in June. So I think it's going to even itself out. We just got to be grateful that we've got such a good squad depth now that if we get an injury, for example, let's say Sterling does get injured, I wouldn't be, nervous that another player's being brought in after what I saw last night.
Yeah, no, other players can step up to the plate. Yeah, you're right. Well, yesterday it was, as you say, a celebration of England football. Of course, England's 1,000th game, which is a marvellous achievement. I kind of felt a little bit let down by what was going on at half time and the whole sort of there wasn't as much razzmatazz as I thought there might be. The programme I thought was absolutely superb that they produced. I don't know, just at half time there was only a handful of players, and I think there was only a few that they actually spoke to. It would have been great to have some of the 66 term players maybe around there, just various other players I thought could have been on show and spoken to, rather than have a 5-minute Deliveroo guy trying to find someone in the crowd.
Yeah, for what it was, it did seem a bit flat. I do see where you are coming from. I think, again, I don't think the day helped that much. I think the game on a Thursday night was a bit weird. Obviously, with scheduling and stuff, we can't really do a lot about that. I think out of all the teams England could have had playing that game, I don't think Montenegro would have been top of their list. I think if they knew the date very well in advance, I presume they would have picked a big team. Oh, well, most certainly Germany to come and play in it as like a sort of big celebration of the English football, that sort of thing. But no, it was a bit flat. But again, I don't know. I think sometimes with these things, with it being, with England basically qualified, they had to try and find something else to hype the game up, essentially. And it was just by, look, the 1,000th international was that game. But I think the opponent didn't help. And I think he just felt like he was just missing that sort of lump that it's like, oh, it's the 1,000th international. But there may be different factors. But again, I've got a programme and things like that just to say I was there. I've kept, instead of having the mobile tickets usually, I've asked for a paper ticket this time. So I've got that as a memento. But it's more or less there going, I was there. It's a historical occasion, but, I think just sometimes some things just don't go their way, and the opponent and stuff for that game in particular just didn't help.
Yeah, and I think I would just like to acknowledge the Montenegrin fans. I think there was probably only about 20-25 of them, but they were tucked away there. I think there was more stewards around them than actual Montenegro fans, which I found slightly amusing.
I've seen more people at a house party than in that little section. So, no, fair play to them. Again, I think those can say to their families, I was there for England's 1,000th international. Don't talk about the result, but I was there for that historic game.
Yeah, you're right. So you're an England blogger. You're also an England Travel Club member. How long's the blog been going for?
I've only just really recently started the blog. I mean, the first... I did really from the start of this international, this qualifying campaign, really, because then I want to just keep it going all the way through. So the first games that I did a blog on was the Czech Republic at home and Montenegro away. I usually try and cover them both games in the break as in one piece, but then for the Euros next year, I'm going to probably do, one per game and try and keep it going, keep it flowing. So, yeah, and then I did one on the Nations League trip in June to Portugal. That's what I'm particularly proud of. I always try as well to, I'm a bit annoying on the away trips because, I do spend a lot of time walking around the city, but quite a lot of the time I'm taking photos to put on the blog itself, because I quite like to use my own material just to give that more of an authentic feel to it. And then sadly I missed out doing a post on the Bulgaria and Kosovo home games, surely because I was just very busy around that period. And the one game I did miss because I went to go and watch England play Australia in the Ashes at Old Trafford in Manchester. So I wasn't able to get a full set of eyes on the game. But then the most recent one that's the first thing on my page is that trip to Czech Republic and Bulgaria, which was it was an amazing trip, even though the Bulgaria game, obviously, you touched on that on the previous podcast of what happened. But no, I really enjoyed that trip, and it's got a lot of positive reception. That's the good thing. Since I've been doing them, everyone, even in England Travel Club Facebook group, for example, also on Twitter, or just just reaching out on Facebook and social media, going really enjoying them, keep them up. So yeah, that's really spurring me on. But I'm really enjoying doing them. Yeah,
no, we'll keep it up. They're a good read, and I think it's Matt Astbury Sport at .wordpress.com, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I do blog on other stuff as well. So there's also different stuff on there. I'm putting a few cricket pieces together as well at the moment. So I mean, obviously England diaries, as I call them, the blogs, they're the main feature of my site, but I do also write about other things as well.
Yeah, no, it's a good read. We'll link to it via the Three Lions podcast as well. And you've got a day job which kind of is sport related as well, which sounds quite interesting.
Yes, I'm an editorial assistant at DAZN, which is a sports streaming company. It's based in Leeds, but it doesn't operate. It doesn't broadcast in the UK, but it broadcasts in Canada, for example. The USA, they obviously make a lot of noise because they're like the big boxing broadcaster over in the States now. They've got rights in Brazil, Japan, Germany. Basically what DAZN is, it's like Netflix but for sports. So it's basically you just log on for a monthly fee. So, for example, let's use the Netflix for example. Like Netflix, you pay $9.99 a month. DAZN's is the exact same model. You pay just a flat fee per month. You can just watch whatever sport they've got the rights to. For example, in Canada, it's very big because we've got the NFL, American football, on there. And this year they've just got the Premier League rights, and we can share every game in Canada. But judging by feedback we've got through various forums and subscriber numbers, that's gone down really well. And we have Champions League as well. So in Canada, it's a very big driving force for club football over here. So it's always a growing company, but it's very exciting. But it's shown how it's changing now. Obviously, it's going to be quite difficult to break into over here if you like to Sky and seen BT with the money they purchased for Champions League rights. Obviously, they've got to try and get a foothold in there somewhere. But no, it's an exciting job, an exciting industry, and I don't think it will be long until we see sports streaming sites come in into the UK.
Yeah, well, we shall see. Watch this space. And you're also on Twitter, aren't you, if people want to connect with you?
Yes, at Astbury Matt on Twitter. I presume you'll probably link to it in the podcast. But you can drop me a follow. I'll probably, if you're a England Travel Club member, I'll probably follow you back because there's nothing better than meeting up with people. That's the one good thing I always say to people who always ask what is it like going to watch England away. I've made so many good mates already just through going on these trips. So it is an experience. Obviously, you do go to some interesting places, but it's an experience you won't forget. And eventually you'll probably be being in a group with loads of like nearly 100 people. I mean, I've already in a WhatsApp group, which is just people I've met through the England away trips, always in contact as well. So it was drop me a follow on Twitter and I'll definitely get back to you.
Yeah, can't echo that enough more. Yeah, go on England away duty, and you've got friends for life. I know that as a fact. Matt, thank you very much for your time. As I say, we will link to your Twitter and the blog as well. And we need to catch up and have a beer together.
Yes, definitely, Russell. I look forward to it.
This is the walk up to the ground. It's dark now. Massive floodlights illuminate the stadium. FC Pristina, Kosovo on the outside. St George's crosses, you see the reverse of them as we walk up to the stadium. We're just about to go through the turnstile. Kosovan players have come out for their warm-up to a huge round of applause. Ground is half full. It's 20 past 5, kick-off at 6 o'clock. It's a ground that's a single tier all round. Already Kosovan fans jumping up and down. There's a main stand over the far side. There's a running track that goes around it. It's got two almost like media suites either side of the main stand. 4 huge floodlights each corner. 2 big screens at either end. And the England end is starting to fill up. Loads of St George's crosses all around. What I could see at the reverse of the flags, I can now see on the inside. London Reds, Mike. Chelsea, SW1, Blues. Super Block 109. There's plenty of England fans, or England flags, in the home end as well. So a lot of England fans have managed to get themselves in. Weather-wise, it's all right. It's dark. Bit of a chill in the air. And there's people looking over the other side of the ground trying to get a vantage point in. to be honest, I don't think there's going to be a real vantage point from anywhere outside. There's a couple of houses dotted up on the hills, but you're not going to get a real good view.
Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome in Pristina. Welcome to the capital's historical stadium, Montenegro. There are no words to describe the magnificent night. England, welcome to Kosovo. Welcome to your champions. Please rise up for the national anthem of England. Please remain standing for the national anthem of the Republic of Kosovo.
Half time, England 1, Kosovo 0. Standing on the top steps of the England section. And behind us, the road leads up to the main square in Pristina, where the big screen is. Plenty of people who haven't got a ticket are standing up there. And you can hear them when there's a bit of a lull in the crowd noise down here. There's a light show going on up there, it would appear as well. People are standing on the tops of buildings, I've seen now, trying to get a view of the game. I say England 1 up. Harry Winks found himself in space and slotted home, but it's been a bit of a non-first half. Worth saying that the tifo that the Kosovans raised at the beginning of the game was pretty special. A welcome and respect with the poppy, flanked either side by a Kosovan flag and a St George's cross. It was a nice touch, and the national anthems were well respected. Kosovo being very vocal, as the supporters very vocal every time they've gone forward, but not really tested England. Say half time and Dua Lipa is played. More flag watch. Cheshire United over the far side. Donny Owls. Fulham. Reading on tour as well. Lewis. Three second half goals from Marcus Rashford, Harry Kane, Mason Mount. England 4, Kosovo 0. Kosovans do a final lap of honour. Well deserved as well. They've had a decent campaign here. They're still going to the playoffs. As I watch the crowd leave and go off into the night. Thank you very much, Kosovo. You've been great. I'm delighted to be joined, as I often am, by CJ Joyner. How are you?
Okay, thanks, Russ. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Kosovo, what a place to finish off the year and the campaign. How did you find it?
Oh, what a lovely place. It's lovely people. There's stories of guys just pulling up to a bar in a car, putting hazards on, jumping out, and paying for people's drinks. You know, a table full of English and just paying their bar bill, and then shaking people's hands, jumping back in the car and driving off. It's it's pretty surreal, really, and I think it says a lot, really, that there wasn't any trouble at all. It says a lot that you've got that with the amount of people that were there compared to normal, and look at the welcome that we got in the first place. That says a lot as well, I think, and hopefully that if we get an away game somewhere next year, or if it's during the tournament and there are any problems, it can be looked at. This can be, and also back in Montenegro as well, that can be looked at saying, well, look, you know, it's not always that. It's not all, England fans aren't always that badly behaved. There's the odd time, but generally it's the minority. And when there's smaller allocations, there isn't the trouble. It's just not there.
Yeah, no, you are right. But the actual game, it's a bit of a real feather in the cap to actually be at that one, wasn't it? The fact that there were so little England fans within the ground, that the fact that it was against Kosovo, it's just one of those I was there games, wasn't it? I guess a bit like the people that went to Kazakhstan quite a while back now.
Yeah, very small allocation. It's one of these that you'll remember for a long, long, long time. And I was really pleased to read that you got a ticket when you put it out there, Russ. And it was a special night. And I mean, just read down to the first name of each player being read out from both teams, and then both sets of fans reading out the surnames. Down to. We didn't really applause. I mean, our players seemed to get applause for things that they were doing from the opposition fans, which it was just surreal. I've never been in that sort of situation before.
And I don't think I can't imagine England getting a reception like that anywhere in the world again. I think that was the one time only, and I think it's just because of the circumstances of it all.
Yeah, you can see how grateful they are for everything that our brave armed forces did for them, and some of them laid down their lives. And I believe, I'd have to double check this, but I think the last British serviceman that died in that area was about 2007. It wasn't actually that long ago.
Wow.
It's 12 years ago, something like that, I believe. So the country itself isn't that old, as we know, and I don't think it's even recognised by the UN at the moment. But obviously, FIFA and UEFA have been able to recognise them, and it's put them. Well, hopefully, it's going to help them get independence, and they can use that as an example of saying, well, look, we're playing as an independent country, we're self-governed and we're self-financed, and we can go forward from here. And you look at the people and how nice they are, and what a wonderful bunch they are, and they deserve it. They really do.
Yeah. On to the game. A few surprises on the England front, but I guess healthy changes, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
Nick Pope in goal, didn't he?
Yeah. It was a nice change just to see him given 90 minutes. I mean, I was very pleased to see Maddison come on. He's had a bit of a tough time, really. I think with the reasons for that, we won't go into it really, but he's fantastic. Obviously, good for my club at Coventry, and good for our academy. We've produced a lot of good players. Callum Wilson's another one.
Did they get a payment out of that? Was there anything to say if he makes an England cap?
I believe it's about 100,000. I mean, obviously, he went from us to Norwich, and we got a reasonable fee there. And then from Norwich to Leicester, there was a pretty healthy chunk of money there, a few million from a sell-on. And then there's obviously a certain percentage from everything he gets from now that gets passed back to Norwich, and then a percentage of that gets passed to us. So we're still reaping the rewards on that.
Yeah, I know all these people that complain about an international break when their club sides don't play. Sometimes they're getting a healthy little windfall, aren't they?
Well, that's right, yeah. And I mean, obviously, a lot of League One and League Two do play, so it doesn't stop. Yeah.
No. Mason Mount got his goal as well, didn't he? Took that well.
He did. I was very chuffed for him. He got that, and again, he's looking very good, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think against Bulgaria, he was one of the not Bulgaria, sorry, Czech Republic. He was, I think it was there where he was one of the only players really that you looked at and you thought, yeah, he actually had a good game. So
yeah, I tried to block the Czech Republic out.
Yeah, it didn't happen. So I'm perfectly happy for saying that didn't happen. Yeah, I was very pleased with what he contributed.
And I didn't realise it, and quite a while I didn't realise Harry Kane scored in every qualifier, didn't he?
That didn't occur to me until you just said that to me now. I mean, it makes sense since he scored. How many did he score? Was it 12, 13 or something? Something along those lines. And I think he had 5 or 6 assists as well. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of goals and assists with his, easy opposition. Let's face it. it wasn't the hardest group in the world. How you look, there's some groups with Germany and Holland in, but at the end of the day, you can only beat what's in front of you. And he was professional every single time, and I'm loving the guy more and more every single time. But he has got some competition behind him. I mean, his most natural replacement is probably Wilson, who's had a bad time with knee injuries, but he's come back it better, better and better and better and better. And you've got Abraham as well there that's chomping at the bit and wanting to get in there. You've got Hudson-Odoi that wants to play there, and the competition is healthy. And we've only really got one role for a striker in the starting 11 with the way how we play. And
it's his at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's his at the moment. It looks like it's going to be his for the foreseeable. I mean, the end of the day, as I said about Callum Wilson, I'd love to see him start every game, but he's older than Harry Kane, and he could well miss out on a good chunk of caps that he may have got in the past. At the end of the day, Kane is the better option at the moment. He's scoring, and if he's injured at any point, I'm sure Wilson will take the opportunity, but I can't see that happening. I really can't.
I know we briefly spoke in Pristina about Harry Kane, that he'll beat that record, won't he? Easily.
I mean, we joked at the Montenegro game that I think in the first half he was nine goals off Michael Owen, and we're thinking, well, he might actually make that this game, and you just don't know. But he, depending on how next year goes, if he has another tournament like he did in Russia last year, he will almost certainly go ahead of Owen, I would say, because he's going to get 4 or 5 if we go all the way in the tournament. He needs to do that for us to go all the way. I believe anyway. He needs to get 4, 5, 6 goals. Yeah. And then you've got the friendlies and the pre-tournament friendlies in the run-up to that. So he's got plenty of opportunities, and he could be on 40 plus by the time we start the next campaign in September.
It could well be, although he may not be a Spurs player. I don't know. We'll see how he gets on with Mourinho.
Well, yes, that's going to be interesting, and we know some players that are out there, some very good players, SEN and so on, have called him Daddy, and there's plenty of players that don't necessarily like him as much. So we'll just have to see how he gets on with that, won't we?
Yeah, so wait and see. So we are through. We beat Montenegro on at Wembley in that 1,000th game, put us through to the Euros on home soil, or pretty much on home soil next year. And the draw is November the 30th. I've looked at it vaguely and glazed over a bit. Looks a bit complicated, but you seem to feel it's a little bit more straightforward.
Well,
or not.
I think you've got to read into it a little bit. Once you've read into it a little bit, you can kind of see where we are. I mean, I believe that we get one of France, Poland, Switzerland, Croatia, one of Portugal, Turkey, Austria, Sweden, Czech Republic, and then the winners of playoff path C or D. And I think the reason why they can't work out at the moment who that is right now in that final spot is because it could be Hungary or Scotland could come through there. Now, at the end of the day, Hungary and Scotland could come through. They're both hosts, so obviously Scotland have been told if you qualify, you'll be at Hampden, and basically Hungary have said this, Hungary have been told the same. So the same as all the other playoff, the teams in the playoffs. I think there's 16 of them, so that are hosts. So right. that's why it's in that position. And I mean, it is mind blowing, really, the amount of permutations due to the fact that, like, for example, Russia can't play Ukraine, I don't think, in the groups, and so on. And there's a couple of other situations like that, them being 12 hosts and so on. Like, for example, Group B is already pretty much settled with Belgium, Russia, and Denmark, certain of Group B, and then there's only one team to draw from that for Pot 4. So we know that the winner of Ireland's playoff path plays Spain. For example, Group C is Ukraine and Netherlands. So our group, yeah, it's not as decided as some of the others. the Champions League is very similar to this as well. I mean, that is just mind-boggling, really. And there's very few teams, despite the amount of teams in it, there's very few teams you can actually play against. In the group stage, they get moved around all the time, and it seems it's very similar this time with the Euros.
Yeah, it's not as fun, I don't think, but we'll find out. November the 30th is when the draw is actually done, and we'll have a podcast to reflect on that as and when it happens. But England have announced that they've got 2 friendlies in March. One of them has been already announced, that we've got Denmark at home, and there'll be another. I think that's is it on the Monday, the 31st of March?
Yeah,
and then I think there's going to be a game on the 27th, which I think is a Friday, which is yet to be announced at time of recording this. And then we're going to have games. It's been worded a little bit differently. Basically, they can't be played at Wembley before the Euros in June. Word is that we're going to be going up to St James's Park in Newcastle, and because it's on the road, there's a possibility of one away. Is that right? Is that how you read it?
Well, they've said there's going to be one in Europe, haven't they? So, yeah. I mean...
Well, Newcastle is in Europe.
Yeah. We all love away games, don't we? We'd rather be there than anywhere else. Wembley's at the bottom of the list for me, and then obviously out on the road, and then top of the list is an away game. But I can just see it. You can just see it, can't you? That game in Cardiff or Hampden, they're going to build us up. We think we're going to get Austria. We think we're going to get, I don't know, Romania or something, and we'll end up with We'll end up with Scotland or Wales at home, well away. And
surely, though, if Hampden is going to be used as a
that's true.
Host city, we couldn't play there, though, could we?
That's true. So I suppose that's actually the same as Romania. To be fair, actually, there you go. So I mean, I know Austria has been muted. It looks like a fantastic ground, that does. A mate of mine and yours, actually, Bill. He's been there, and he's shown me the pictures and whatever. And
we last played in Austria 2007, so got a little while since we played there. So, yeah, I've never been. It would be a good one. Right?
Yeah, it's about time we had a game there. I mean, I believe that we owe Switzerland a game away, don't we? I don't know. If that doesn't happen in June, it's going to be a long, long, long time until that can happen. It's about 2 years later.
Right.
So,
we played in Basel a while back, I think, didn't we? A qualifier there, and I know for a fact we played them in 2010.
Yeah, it's just that from the game that I think was it in Leicester, that game, the Switzerland.
Yeah. So reverse fixture for that. Yes, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll just have to see on that. But I mean, there's plenty of teams that we owe games to. But I mean, we played Portugal in the run up to, I think it was
2016
the Euros. Yeah. So. We have, although obviously we played in the Nations League, but we haven't played a friendly out there. So there's plenty of teams where we've hosted at Wembley, and we haven't gone there. Ghana's one, obviously, and that'd be an interesting place to go. But I can't see us going there just before the tournament.
No, you'll have to give me one of your Skyscanner ways of getting to Ghana. That comes up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
CJ, always good to speak to you, and I guess we'll speak in December when we'll do our look back over the year, if that's good with you.
No problem at all.
Nice one. All right, we'll speak soon.
Okay, cheers, Russ.
Now, as promised, I said we'd run through some of the results from the other England games that have been played during this international break. We'll start with the Lionesses. We'll go back to the 9th of November. Seems like a little while ago for that one. Game actually went to see the Lionesses play Germany at Wembley. Bit of a damp one, really. It was very reminiscent of 2014 when we last played Germany and we last played them at Wembley. It was just wet in the air, damp, cold as well. But it didn't stop 77,768 from turning out, which was in fact more than the attendance for the men's game against Montenegro. Unfortunately, the result though didn't go our way, and to be frank, Germany were the better team on the night. But Ellen White, she came into the team and she equalised just on half time, although I say the Germans won it, and deservedly so, right at the death.
But another great advert for the women's game. Just a shame that the results didn't come with it. But a few days later, on the 12th, the Lionesses went over to the Czech Republic, and for the last game of the year in a friendly, they beat them by 3-2, ending the year with a win. Leah Williamson, I think, pretty much saving Phil Neville's neck after the Lionesses' recent results of late. She got a late winner, this after the Czechs had gone ahead. The other Lionesses goal scorers were Bethany England and Beth Mead. And following that Wembley game, I'm sure it was a bit of a come down, as this seemed to be played in front of less than 100, if the TV footage was anything to go by. But I do know there were some England fans out there, so full credit to you guys, because it did look cold with persistent snow in the air. Now, as I've said before, I am looking for a contributor for the Lionesses. If you do follow the Lionesses, please do get in touch. It would be good to have another voice, another perspective on the Lionesses. If you'd like to come on the podcast, just drop me a line, get in touch. Now, the young Lions, the under-21s, let's start with those guys. On the 15th of November, they faced Albania in a Euro under-21 qualifier. They came away with a 3-0 win. Goals from Man City's Phil Foden, Charlton's Conor Gallagher and Arsenal's Reece Nelson. And then on the 19th, they travelled over to Doetinchem in Holland, where they played the Netherlands. Went down by 2-1 as the Dutch scored in the very last minute. Mason Greenwood from Manchester United had equalised in the second half. The under-20s on the 14th of November, they beat Portugal in a friendly by 4-0. Goals from Tyrese Campbell, he got 2, he's from Stoke. Manchester City's Ian Poveda Ocampo got 1, and Arsenal's Emil Smith-Rowe. Then on the 19th, England faced Iceland. They faced an Iceland under-21 team. This was played at Adams Park in Wickham. Reading's Danny Loader, Ian Poveda Ocampo again from Manchester City, he got 2 in a 3-0 win. The under-19s played 3 games on the 13th of November. They thrashed Luxembourg 4-0 in a Euro 2020 qualifier. And Manchester City's Taylor Harwood-Bellis getting 1. Fiorentina's Bobby Duncan got 2. And Hamburg's Javier Amici got another. Then on the 16th of November, England had another Euro Championships qualifier. North Macedonia 0, England 5. Tommy Doyle got a goal of Manchester City. Anthony Gordon of Everton. James Garner got 2 from Manchester United. And Arsenal's Bukayo Saka got 1. And then 3 days later, they travelled to Bosnia and Herzegovina, where they came away with a 4-1 win in another Euro Championships qualifier. Chelsea's Faustino Angerin got a goal. Manchester United's Ethan Laird. Taylor Harwood-Bellis of Manchester City got 1, and Anthony Gordon of Everton got 1. The under-18s, well, they had 3 games in Spain, lucky them. They beat Russia by 5-2. PSV's Noni Madueke got 1. Sam Greenwood of Arsenal, Cole Palmer of Man City, Morgan Rogers of Man City and Alex Mighton of Nottingham Forest. They drew 4-4 with Norway 2 days later. Manchester City's James McAtee got 2. Sam Greenwood of Arsenal got another. And Miguel Azizas, also from Arsenal, got 1. And finally, they rounded up with a game against the Czech Republic, which they won by 1-0. Again, another goal from Noni Madueke, he of PSV. And finally, the under-17s, they had 2 games. Unfortunately, the first one, played at Alfreton Town, was against Denmark, where they went down by 3-1. Lewis Dobbin of Everton getting the goal there. And then they rounded off the year with a 2-0 victory over the Czech Republic, played at Solihull Moors, and Alex Robertson of Manchester City got both goals there. There you go. That's our roundup of all the England teams that have played over this international break. And it is worth mentioning, if you do want to catch up with some of the live commentary from some of the Young Lions games, there is a Twitter feed, Live Sports FM. Go and check them out, because they've got the commentary for a lot of the Young Lions games, and it comes highly recommended. I've listened a couple of times. Before we go, just a quick look at some of our England bloggers following the recent games. Dom Smith at englandfootball.org, seventh heaven on England's special night. Helped by Harry Kane's 19-minute hat-trick, England celebrated their 1,000 match in felicitous fashion, earning their biggest ever win at the new Wembley. That was following the Montenegro game, and after Kosovo, prolific England sign off in style. England thwarted another impressive Kosovo display to confirm their status as top-seeded side at Euro 2020. Harry Winks and Mason Mount scored their first international goals. Jonathan Thierby at footballengland.org. England's Millennium Men roar into Euro 2020. And don't forget Matt Astbury, who we spoke with earlier, can be found at Astbury Matt on Twitter, as can CJ at CJ Cov Blaze. My name's Russell Osborne. You can find me at Three Lions Podcast, Facebook and Instagram too. And as I alluded to with CJ there, we'll have a draw podcast coming up soon to reflect on who, what, where, why, how, when, all things Euro 2020 related. Plus, did I mention a special interview with a former Three Lions player to come too? So please do like, subscribe, blah, 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 all the usual stuff. So until then, cheers.